What are we doing? Oh yeah, we're changing magazines today. Hey, what's up guys? We're Tactiholics, and today we're going to be talking about critical incident magazine changes in your handgun. So what we're talking about here is you've hit a slide lock position, you have an empty magazine in the gun, and you need to get more rounds into that pistol right now. Okay? So, there are a couple techniques we're going to break down for you here. I'll tell you which one works for me, and from there you can decide. Neither one is right or wrong. Both of them actually operate very closely around the same mechanics, but they are functioning a little bit differently. Let's go ahead and take a look. The first technique we're going to do, again, clear firearm, empty magazine. From a slide lock position here, you feel the weapon go out of battery. It does not cycle another round in the chamber. You know that you need to get rounds into this pistol again. We're going to come back to high compress ready with the muzzle pointed downrange at the target. The reason we want to be here is the weapon is nice and tight in my workspace. Your hands are going to have a lot easier time finding the magazine well of the firearm and finding the slide to charge the firearm, as opposed to what they would be if they were out here. You kind of be fumbling around and trying to feel around. Another reason we want the weapon tight to our body is we don't want to actually look at the gun and focus on the firearm. We want to keep our eyes downrange for any potential threats that we're engaging. You bring the firearm back to high compress ready state, at which point your support hand, being my left hand, immediately goes down to retrieve and index my magazine. Okay? As my support hand comes down to make this retrieval of my spare magazine, I'm going to take my primary thumb and start to work the magazine release. You'll see some techniques out there where people prefer to let the magazine fall straight out, just like so. The way I prefer to do this is when I bring the weapon back, I start to move my support hand. I actually roll the gun out to the right-hand side and snap it off to the left like that, ensuring that that magazine is kicked free of the gun. Immediately, my secondary hand, being my left hand, is going to come down and begin to retrieve and index my magazine as my right hand removes the old magazine from the firearm. You can see now I have a good index on the magazine. I'm going to find the magazine well of the firearm, insert all the way, bring my hand straight up over the top, functioning a gross motor skill here, charge the firearm, and come back up on target. Let's take a look at this technique a little bit faster here. From a slide lock position, the weapon does not go back into battery. Here we go. Just like so. Alright guys, the second technique we're going to look at is when you feel the weapon not go back into battery, that slide's locked open. As you bring the firearm back to high compress ready, our hands are going to work together to remove the old magazine. So the support hand comes down, grabs the magazine by the base plate, as your primary thumb works that magazine release. What this does, it gives you control of the magazine, lets you drop it from the firearm, ensuring that the magazine well is clear. Once we remove the primary magazine and dropped it on the ground, we're going to go ahead and retrieve and index just like before. From here forward, the technique is exactly the same. We find the home in the magazine well, give it a nice firm slap, charge the firearm, come right back up on target. Let's go ahead and take a look at that technique slightly faster. Okay guys, now that you've seen us break down a couple different techniques for critical incident magazine changes, take this video, try out both techniques, see which one works for you, and stick with that. You don't want to be changing up techniques behind the gun, especially something with something like magazine changes. It is a little bit more of a fine motor skill, something that I feel is often overlooked in people's firearm training. As far as the different techniques go, I prefer to go personally with the technique we looked at first, which is working your hands independently of each other, removing the magazine strictly by snapping the firearm with your primary hand, at which point your secondary hand, or your support hand, is immediately indexing and retrieving the secondary magazine. I feel that gains you a little bit of time, whereas the second technique we looked at, working the magazine release and extracting the magazine with both hands together, I think in the time that it takes you to remove that magazine and begin to retrieve your secondary magazine, you could already have that thing back in the gun, be back in the action, which is what this is all about, again, being that it is a critical incident. Well guys, as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe here on YouTube, join the Facebook group and the Facebook page, Tactiholics. Also check out our brand new website, Tactiholics.com. We never quit.